Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben, joined here by Dylan and Brian to talk about the premiere of Survivor 49. And I think that we had too easy of a season last season with us basically agreeing on 80 to 90% of things. So it seems like we're going to have some disagreements about this episode. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, me too. I want to start off with Dylan because it's been the long. You guys listened to me too much probably during the last season. So, Dylan, floor is yours.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back. Season 49. Very excited to be here. I don't really know where to start. I didn't really think of what I was going to say at first. I didn't love the episode. That's really the only place I can start. I think that things have gotten very repetitive, and I don't want to kind of just become like a mouthpiece of what I read on Reddit. So like I'm trying really hard not to copy what I was basically reading for 3 hours there today. Back on the Reddit. I guess that's my summer update. Is I for the Reddit I have abandoned. I'm back on it. No, I do. I think it's to no surprise. Obviously, Survivor in the new era has had a tough time of changing things for the better and kind of making this new format work. And I think I've officially I think it's jumped the shark for me. I think I very much. I think this is the same premiere that we've seen. For the past 9 seasons, it really feels like it. I think that the cast is super generic. I think that we kind of have like that whole, theater nerd kind of like trauma dumping that we've been getting in the beginning of each of these last few seasons. There are definitely some bright spots. I liked Rizzo. I like Sophie with an I a lot. I think Savannah was good. I like Jake for the most part, even though a lot of the problems I'm going to kind of bring up with this new era format. I think Jake was almost like the poster child for it in this episode. But I don't know. I had a really hard time getting into it. I was also living a night of pure envy because my brother was at the Survivor Cafe in Boston and met pretty much all my favorite players in the entire history of Survivor. Met Boston Rob, met Jeremy, met Natalie. Was sitting next to Natalie and Ethan. Had a beer with Jake. It was a great night for my brother. So shout out him. But I don't know. I'm definitely keeping an open mind. It's one episode. It was 2 hours. I think it was a very, very weak 2 hours, to be 100% honest. And I think that the cast itself, it comes off as very weak in terms of what they can deliver to us for drama. I don't know. I think Survivor needs its edge back really badly. And the start to the season doesn't make me think that we're getting there. But I think that this season has a very unfortunate task of being the season that leads us into season 50. So it's almost like I feel I might subconsciously be looking for reasons to hate it, even though I don't love that. So that's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah. Off that part, if it makes you feel better, a lot of really good seasons were 4 all-star seasons. So, that could be good. But I think, because I've been thinking about this a lot today when we were talking yesterday and you're like, yeah, I really didn't like it. And I was like, why am I not so mad? I think like I've come to the conclusion that like what people are feeling now, I felt like in Survivor 44. And I talked about it a lot. And I like mourned the death of Survivor to where I'm at the point now where it's like, all right, I don't expect this show to be the show I love. I still like it, but it's not the same show it was anymore. So maybe I'm just like, I've lowered my expectations so far that I'm just like, oh, for what it is, it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at as well with it. And like, there were a few things in this episode that I liked that felt like at least like a quarter step in the right direction that we can talk about. But yeah, I feel very similar, Ryan. And obviously, like coming off of watching Australia versus the World, which is, I would say, what a top 10 season of Survivor across the board, and like, arguably a top like 10 to 20 season of reality TV for me. Like, my expectations coming into the season were already like on the floor, so it just like having a couple of things that stood out to me that like I enjoyed, that like felt like the show at least was sort of listening, even if it was very minimal. was like crossed to the like very, very low part. It's that the first thing that I think that stood out to me, like the first two things that stood out to me, where I was like, oh, I like that, were Jeff did his like opening monologue thing, right? Like, you know, he's done this for like 6 seasons in a row now, where he has like this speech he gives the players right before they start. And the thing he like said that I hope is true, and it's not just like him writing a silly speech, is him being like, the reason that Survivor evolves is because of the players every season. Like, you know, he did an interview with Mike Bloom, I think, yesterday or today, where he had similar rhetoric, which is like the advantages, like adding new advantages and twists aren't what make the show evolve and the game evolve. It's every new set of players brings something new to the game, and that's how I see the show in the game. And I think that's how like all of us kind of see the show in the game, and why like a lot of us don't love a lot of the twists they introduce. But that's not like how the show has presented itself in the new era so far. So like that to me is at least hopefully encouraging that maybe Jeff is like tweaking his outlook on the show. And the other thing I liked is the opening challenge didn't have mud. They at least waited until the community challenge to cover them in mud, which is something else that people have complained about, because when they cover them with mud 5 minutes into the episode, before you've like really, you know, visually nailed all of the players, it is incredibly difficult to follow what's going on.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, like, everything Dylan was saying is right. Like, the show has stagnated. It's the same thing over and over. So I don't want people to feel like I'm like disagreeing with Dylan. Dylan is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you also hit the nail on the head, Ben. I think it's following up what is like almost the consensus of one of the greatest seasons of Survivor ever, with Survivor Australia this summer, which, you know, potentially has completely changed the Survivor landscape in our world. I guess maybe we'll wait and see how that changes if we want to put on our tinfoil hats of what's going on there, with potentially a more the world coming more together. Maybe Survivor is really what's going to bring this world together. I don't really know. I'm going with that speech. Yeah, I don't know. I am at the point now where I truly honestly feel that, especially with the way last season ended, even though I thought Kyle was a great winner, and, you know, I think with kind of the way things went with Ava, and I'm already forgetting our guy's name who's on 50. Joe. I think with the way that season went towards the end too, I think that the exhaustion is definitely there for me. I do think that if I was at a point now where if we weren't doing this podcast, I really don't know if I would be watching season 49. Season 50, 110% I would be there. Survivor Australia, 107%. I am in there. I have not finished that season yet. I know who won. I'm not going to spoil that if anybody hasn't listened to it yet, but I think that the signs are there that Survivor Australia, that will be a widely released season soon, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I think that I would then become those people, which I've seen a lot of people online talking like that, of saying, you know, I haven't watched Survivor since 40 or whatever. And I always thought that those people were just trying to, pat themselves on the back on the internet. But I am starting to kind of get it now, where maybe I am just that person that kind of goes away from if we didn't have this podcast, kind of goes away from these seasons unless there are returning players or an all-star. I think that that's a big thing too, is that we haven't had an all-star season in, you know, almost 10 seasons, which
longest stretch ever.
You know, an all-star season or any form of returning player season we haven't had in almost 10 years. And I think that, and it's something we've highlighted too recently, the past couple of years, I think that the show is suffering because of that. But they also, I think that they were the most watched TV show or reality show in the world or the United States this past year. Like, there's some sort of statistic released like that for them recently. So that's great for Survivor. That's a problem for people wanting them to kind of go back to those
show
formats.
of any of the Emmy nominees, right?
Something like that. It was based. It came out around the Emmy, so that makes sense. That's
sad.
great for Survivor, and that's great for the longevity of us wanting the show to stick around. Not great for the people kind of stomping their shoes, demanding change to happen with this format. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the thought of having season 50 play out kind of in the format and the way that these previous seasons have played out. I don't want to always bring up season 50 when talking about 49 and all that. It does make me really wonder. I can't really see the players of 50 wanting to play in this format. And I guess like they're signing up, they know what they're signing up for, and it's very likely we are going to get the same exact format. I know it's already split into 3 tribes, but this game is just, it's so generic and becomes so boring, and it's just so, it needs edge. It needs some sort of new life. It needs something. And I know that obviously for a show and a game that's been around for 25 years now, it's tough to do that they probably have tested a lot of what they've needed to do, but I am at a like desperation point. Something has to change, but we could be back here next week and have a complete banger episode, and this cast could surprise me. And that is what it comes down to in the end, is if you have a cast that can deliver. I think that a lot of these situations we've seen in the show with the way that it's set up that we don't really matter. And I definitely agree that, you know, the twist and the beware advantages not being prevalent in this episode is great. But that's not to say that they're not going to be popping up next episode or after that. So I'm not ready to start celebrating that yet. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm also, I really need to rewatch this episode. I think I was in such a jealous bitch state of mind last night that I could not really focus because it should have been me there. It should have been me holding Jeremy's hand and hugging Natalie and following Ethan into the bathroom. That should have been me.
All right.
No, but for that Survivor Cafe in Boston seems like a hit. That's very exciting. It sounds like potentially we're all going to be going together one night, so that could be a lot of fun.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe we can somehow find a way to do some content there. Maybe we can wrangle up a guest there. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure out how to play that out. But yeah, Survivor as a whole, I'm very excited for. I think coming off of Australia, going into 50, I'm still all aboard. I think it's these new player seasons. The format we're stuck in, I am just I'm very tired, and I need something to change, but I will be back here next week. So
yeah, I feel vindicated also about voicing my displeasure about the new era early. Now everyone's come around, but yeah, man, it's so crazy to think like, and Ben, you know, we had so long between a 3-tribe season and another 3-tribe season. It was like 20 seasons and a couple of seasons with 4 tribes at the very beginning. But other than that, and like the fact that we're so tired of this format is just very funny to look back on then, where it's like, oh, this is fresh and exciting. Please just go back to 2 tribes, because it also like bottlenecks the game very much. And we talked about this, you know, enough when like only women were being voted off in the pre-merge, but like a player, you know, like Nicole, bigger person, you know, I am also that. I think it's harder to stay in a 3-tribe format at the very beginning if you're not traditionally in shape or strong. And it's like, okay, once they lost that, it's like, yep, there are 2 people who will be on the chopping block. They're very obvious. This super skinny girl who's been bad in the challenges and the bigger girl who hasn't been very good in the challenges. Like, that's not always the case when you have a tribe of 10, you know?
Yeah. And I think that like we even kind of see it obviously in this episode on all the tribes, where like you kind of like the strategic meta is so like single-minded on a tribe of 6, where it's just like, you know, get a buddy and then you form a pair and then you find another pair and then you make a 4 and then you have a majority and that's it. And like there's not really anything else you can really. There's not really a lot of wiggle room beyond that. Like even when like Annie comes up to Sophie and you know, pitches to her like, hey, I'm cool with getting rid of Nicole now, but like I don't want it to just be me when we lose next. Like, you know, I would like it to be a 3 with you, me, and Jeremiah, and then we flip on the like bigger guys. That's like, I understand where Annie's coming from there. I think that's like a good mental, like, that's a good mental exercise for her to be doing. I think that Annie really did surprise me this episode with some of her like strategic thinking. I didn't really see that coming from some of the preseason stuff. And like, that's exactly kind of what you should be thinking when you're like the obvious second option, is like, hey, how can I flip this? But then like that fizzled out immediately, and Sophie ran back to the alliance and like, was like, hey, I don't really have any kind of working relationship with Annie. She just kind of coming to me with this idea that's a little self-serving. I don't know. I'm just kind of, like Brian said, sick of the same kind of formula resulting in the same kind of strategy. And then anytime anything mixes up that strategy, it's because of like usually very stupid twists, like just gumming up the game, and then somebody kind of going home in a random situation where they otherwise wouldn't have, like a Justin last season. And yeah, when you have a tribe of 9 or 10 or even 8, like there's more to play with there. The social structure becomes more complicated. It's easier to potentially flip somebody. There's like more moving parts. Like, you're not just kind of like get into a 3 and then get into a 4, get into 2 pairs, get into a 4, and then like just ride that until the merge, because the merge is also early enough where you can usually ride that to the merge, unless you're a completely disaster tribe.
It's the way it always goes too. There's always a disaster tribe, which we're getting already. There is a tribe that's going to dominate challenges, and then there's kind of just a tribe that's like in the middle. It's like the chill tribe. There's and maybe I think a lot more of that has to do with format than it does with the casting choices. But I think that, part of the reason we just said too is that I think having 3 at this stage the way it is, not getting that these characters, not getting like the edge from these characters. These people early on are at least smart enough to know that if they display any sort of like a quirk or any reason to give the other 5 a reason to vote you out, they won't display it. So I feel like a lot of the times too, where normally if you have a 2 tribe season, you get these characters, these people that are free to express themselves. And there are, like we said, there's strategic ways that they know that people aren't just going to immediately vote them out. A lot of the times, obviously, that is not the case. The annoying people do get voted out first. And I do think Nicole here was the proper vote out for that tribe. But yeah, it's the same. Like you said, Ben, the 2 people come in, especially if there's 2 guys, if there's a muscular guy and a regular guy, which I don't really consider Alex an alpha male buff daddy, like some other people on the show do, but Alex and Jake immediately come together. It's the same storyline that we've seen every single season, and it's because of that format specifically. You can say whatever we want about casting. Casting has had some hits recently, and I think that they potentially have a couple hits in this season. But I don't think casting matters all that much when you talk about this early game with this format. But it just doesn't seem like that they're willing to change that. And obviously, we'll keep talking about it. But I think that so many of these seasons and games could have played out so differently for the better had they gone back to the 2 tribe format. I think we could have gotten more time with better characters, and I'm not going to like start naming off specific names, but how many times in recent seasons have we had players that we legitimately basically kind of forget that they're there in this game, like post merge, because like we just don't see them. They're not involved. They're not charismatic enough to be involved. And I know once again, even in the 39 days other format, we see that a lot. We saw that a lot too, but I think with this format specifically, there's always 1 or 2 people every time post-merge. I'm like, oh yeah, this person is still in this game, and we never hear from them. And editing has gotten better, obviously. Going back to 90 minutes, that's great. That's gotten better. But, I could go back to season 42, season 44, and I feel like I'm watching the same premiere that I'm watching here. It's just different people in those roles.
Yeah, totally. And, it makes it difficult to analyze because it's like, why is there a disaster tribe? Well, we've talked about it because it becomes harder when there's only 5 people instead of 6 when you're already so small and everything snowballs. It's like, do our listeners want to hear that again? I think they know, you know?
I mean, even like the original 3-tribe seasons, there was a disaster tribe. Like All Stars was the first 3-tribe season, and then Saboga was a disaster tribe on that season, and they ended up getting dissolved. And then on Philippines, the next time they did a 3-tribe season, 17 seasons later, we had Matt Singh, and we had like the famous like idea of like, oh, is it then correct for you to be on the disaster tribe and survive, because then you become a swing pair or a swing trio between the other people. Like on All Stars, you had the people from Saboga who survived. They made it deep into the game and had like decent win equity. You had on Philippines, Malcolm and Denise. They basically like in the post-merge of that season rode the middle between Tandang and Calabao, right? And so like that kind of became this idea, and then that it hasn't really changed. Like even in a lot of the new era seasons, we kind of see this. We saw it like a little bit, with like Emily, for example, in her role on 45. Like there's like it again just becomes not only formulaic in the pre-merge where you just like grab your majority and just ride it out, but also a kind of like when there is a disaster tribe, it becomes formulaic in the post-merge where you have like these like kind of blocks of people with like people in the middle floating back and forth and just being swing votes. And that's happened, I would say, enough times in the new era that like, that just kind of feels like the default strategy.
Yep. Well, let's try to talk a little bit about original stuff. I thought, based on the okay, well, we'll go back to no, we need to complain more, but well, I guess we want to go back. I do think if Ethan and Jerry had stuck together, they could have even made it pretty far into the All Stars, but that's not the point. Anyways, Rizzo, the star of the episode, the man who many of us saw and were like, I don't know if I like this guy's vibe, has quickly become a fan favorite.
I still think that there are people. I've seen Nick's reactions. I personally didn't like Rizzo.
I love Rizzo as the designated podcast researcher on Reddit. A lot of people on there don't like Rizzo. Apparently,
I haven't been on Reddit today.
It definitely feels like a very polarizing. There's a lot of people that really like him. There's a lot of people that still are thinking that he's like cringe and annoying.
I think that we can safely plan our stake that this is a pro Rizzo podcast. I think that's safe to say at this point.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me with Rizzo, obviously, like the come from behind, the thing at the journey with him and Alex was just like I would say the best scene of the episode, which is maybe an indictment of the episode that the journey was the best scene of the episode.
Yeah.
But like him narrating that, like him having somewhat of a level of self-deprecation to him, he came off very charismatic and also genuine in like a way that like I think a lot of us probably didn't expect him to come off from the introduction to him was in the
you call yourself the Riz God. I feel like you're not going to be that genuine, but yeah, he was surprised.
Yeah, no, and he does speak in like a lot of like kind of modern internet slang kind of vibes, talking about like let me cook and like stuff like that.
Very, very perhaps the most aggressively Gen Z person we've had on Survivor so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it doesn't feel put on, right? It feels like
Rizzo and Rudy on the same beach.
Well, we're gonna get him in like Holby, right?
Right, that's gonna be hilarious.
But yeah, I mean,
spoilers. We'll edit that out. No, I think we should this should just be a pro spoiler podcast. I think our like 20 listeners, I think they're probably caught.
I feel like here's the thing, right? Like even if you're like not following the show, only following the show casually, but like looking on social media, it's impossible to like you.
Nobody.
The first Reddit that I open, I'm like, there are like people talking about the returning players on season 50. I cannot imagine somebody is engaging with like extracurricular Survivor content on the internet and doesn't know who the Survivor 49 people on 50 are.
Right.
So
yeah.
I feel like we can freely talk. I don't know. Like I'll go with whatever you guys think. I think we can freely talk about it.
It's like going to paint, like our analysis of the season, subconsciously or not. And I think it's going to be like really, uncomfortable for us to like, try to like dance around it as we analyze the episodes and, when they like put that out of our mind. Because like, as I'm watching the episode, like it's always like grinding my mind of like who the two players are. And like, that's making me look at it like, oh, I'm pretty sure I know who the winner is already.
Yep. Hey, you know what? We knew Michaela was on Game Changers and she went out pre-merge. So
yeah,
I guess it could happen.
Yeah, that's like the counterexample that everyone has been bringing up since like basically like the season 50 cast leaked was like, we don't know. Like, yeah, obviously looking at the rest of the season 50 cast, Tiffany is the person on the cast that is the lowest placing, and she came in, I think, like 7th. So theoretically, right, like it's very unlikely that these two players are going to go out before at least the final 7. Unless they're like insanely huge, like, blowaway characters. But even like a Caleb or like, like some of these like bigger characters that are early merge in recent seasons in the new era didn't seem to get, tapped.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like so obviously Savannah and Rizzo are the two players that are going to be on season 50.
Yes, yeah.
I think it would be very shocking to see one of them go out very early, because hypothetically that would make them really like not a fleshed out character in the game.
Yeah.
Even if you're thinking of just on Rizzo going out early, I think if you look at the players that were cut from 50, I have to imagine Rizzo is probably in this game for quite a while, which I don't think it necessarily takes anything away from our watch. I think
we can't even say the two cut because that will really probably spoil where these players end up.
I think watching it with a different lens is maybe that like fresh. Even though it's like an entire meta, not the way Jeff wanted us to watch the season, I think it is a fresh way for us to watch and almost kind of like I'm watching game film going into 50, you know what I mean, of how these two players are, where I can really kind of focus on what they do well, what they don't do well. I think that's, like I said, that kind of gives me a little bit of a rejuvenated outlook on this season. It's not my preferred method of watching, as I imagine it's probably not both of your preferred methods either. But I am excited. And I think that, and it's obviously the talk we were getting into is that I can very early on see why Rizzo is going to be in 50. And I think that the traits are there. I was trying to remember last night. I think I compared him to Cochran, which I'm going to walk that back. Ryan Ulrich is who I was trying to really stick my finger on. And it's somebody, and that's not an original thought by me. I saw a lot of people bring that up today too, of who that reminds them of. I liked
Ryan.
I loved Ryan. I was a big fan of Ryan. I think he kind of stumbled his way towards the end of that season, but I liked Ryan a lot. And I do get those vibes from Rizzo. And I also think Rizzo is maybe the most normal 20-year-old we've seen so far on these seasons compared to the other 20-year-olds that I know. And I don't know that many, but anybody running around yelling cooked and all that sounds exactly like the 20-year-olds I know. So yeah. I liked Rizzo. He makes me funny. I think his story is very sweet. I don't think he came across as disingenuous at all. I don't necessarily know if anybody in this season came off as disingenuous. I do think that there's a player that is purposely playing to tug on heartstrings just to do it. That person's Jake, but we can talk about that when we get back to it. But I like Rizzo. I think that this was the highlight of the episode. I agree, which kind of stinks. And I do think it's an indictment of the episode because overall, obviously, it was Rizzo being terrible at a puzzle I don't think he cheated because it's not against the rules. And he got the job done. I think it's a huge indictment on it was Alex he was going against, right?
Mhm.
I think that's a much bigger indictment there. I don't think that Alex is this genius that he kind of has been playing himself up to be. Maybe that's a misread from me on Alex, but I am Team Riz God. I am all aboard the Riz train. I think also if he does go out, like if he goes out for his vote merge or something like that, I think it adds such a shock value of you like almost meta thinking that this person is safe and they're gone. So that's because I didn't watch Gen X versus Gen Z live, right? So
Millennials
versus Gen X. I don't even know what year it is anymore. I'm excited to experience that if that does happen, but I feel very firm Rizzo is probably going very far.
Mm-hmm. Almost assures too, if there are more Rizzo's coming down the pipe, that we're going to have a Millennials versus Gen Z season. We get to be the curmudgeons on the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, people talk about like the original storyline of like the clash of generations on Survivor was like Africa on what's that, Samburu tribe, right? Where you had at the time it was the baby boomers, and then Gen X were the young like mall rats they were called at the time.
Yes,
the Mall Rat Alliance, and then years later, 15 years later exactly, you had Gen X being like the grumpy old tribe, and then the millennials were the young, like kind of the kids, and then like Brian said,
I like to think that like Todd and Courtney were like our first real millennial like representation of like, and there definitely were probably millennials on before Todd and Courtney, but like they felt the most like of that time.
Yeah,
in the same way that like Riz God is kind of the Gen Z version of that right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so then I guess with that in mind, then we're looking at Survivor early Survivor 60s for the millennials versus Gen Z.
Yep. And then we can pass the torch and Survivor in the 70s, Gen Z versus Survivor Skibbity. Yeah, Survivor Gen Z versus Gen Alpha, right?
Yeah.
What the hell is Gen Alpha? Who is that? What is that? The kid's like born
next.
Like my kid?
Your kids are Gen Alpha.
Yeah. They're like they're whatever. Because Zoomers probably go until probably early teens right now. So it's well, I think Gen Beta or whatever, that was like the ones born like last year, right? So like
those are the first.
Yeah, exactly. So then, Gen Alpha is like everyone between like 3 and like 18, probably somewhere around there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Imagine being a Gen Beta and not a Gen Alpha.
It's gonna be tough for them. Yeah,
if you want to,
dude, the memes are gonna be.
They're right themselves.
They're gonna be. Yeah, that's such ammunition for Gen Alpha to bully Gen Beta.
Yeah. It couldn't be me.
We'll be dead.
You want to talk about feeling old? I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I have been out of primary regular school longer than I was ever in school. Isn't that a wild kind of just like thing? I'm apparently also just a blurred person now.
It's getting worse. You're trying to fix the focus. It's going.
So apparently that's just me now. I'm like Deep Throat in the JFK investigations or Watergate. So that's who I am now. This is like a Metal Gear Solid 1 graphics they have going on.
Yeah, we gotta get the remastered version of the podcast. We gotta sell that for another Patreon.
There we go. It just got remastered. There we go.
That's Which one did they just put out a remake of?
Metal Gear Solid 3.
3, yeah.
Yeah, that's the cut from the old to the new match cut. So that's funny. But yeah, no, I excited for Riz God, excited to see where he goes. Shannon is our Massachusetts representation. Insane representation.
Yeah.
This is actually not a Massachusetts person that we've got on Survivor before, which is exciting.
Yeah, no, definitely she's breaking the mold for like the classic like Greater Boston player that we, because usually we get like somebody who's very much like hitting all the stereotypes, and with her it feels like she like hits some of the stereotypes, but then also kind of feels like a transplant, even though I'm pretty sure she was born and raised here. But she kind of feels like a West Coast transplant who lives in Boston now. Yeah.
Okay, I was distracted for a second. We're talking about Shannon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Whose parents apparently
own the bar. That's crazy.
I didn't know that till which is this bar the bar that it was the normal like Survivor watch place before, like the watch party place?
I
mean, I've been to a bunch of. They've been all over the place for the Survivor watch parties.
Maybe I'm in like Cambridge area, right?
Yeah, I thought there was like a default
or in like Newton.
You guys would know better than I would. It is cool. That's really cool. It seems like this bar is like they do a lot of watch parties for everything. So I think that's cool, having it at a place with actual connections to Survivor. TVs went out for a bit. Probably not their fault. Probably that damn Xfinity. No, I heard it's cool. I'm very much looking forward to going that. Full disclosure, don't remember a whole lot of Shannon in this episode. This is like kind of where I think I need to go back in between when Rizzo went to go fight for materials for his tribe at that island. I kind of clocked out for a bit up until the next challenge. So I think that's a hand up full disclosure. I need to rewatch these parts, so I don't have too much opinions on all that. But default rooting for Shannon for sure.
Yeah.
But now I need to go back and rewatch to see if she's New England enough for me.
Well, okay, so this is the thing. It's coming in like Shannon had some of the wildest preseason content that I've ever seen. Talking about formulating like an AI like Jesus to like ask for Survivor opinions from to like get advice. Talking about morphing a bunch of spiritual beings into an AI and then if you haven't watched it, definitely go watch the interview she did with Mike Bloom, because Mike would ask a question, Shannon would ignore the question, go on like 18 different tangents about things that like you could barely even like follow, and then meander back into something that like sort of made sense, and then Mike would just kind of like, okay, I guess move on to another question.
Maybe she's the hero. She's the hero we need. She's.
I think so. And also, Mike Bloom, such a professional for that.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of got vibes from that from this episode. I expected her to come in and be like, okay, definitely on my short list for people who could be a first boot. But I mean, it seems like she's vibing with this tribe, and it seems like she's not the like default first boot on this tribe. It seems like Sage probably is. So she seems like she's kind of fallen into like being Savannah's sidekick, which is probably a good place to be.
Yep.
And it looks like she's vibing with Savannah really well. Even though she like her opening thing was her like giving thanks to the ocean spirits or whatever, and like leading her tribe on like
good. I love it.
Yeah. On like a meditation thing. I don't know. It's very, it's too bad that she's not on season 50 to interact with Coach, because I think that would be a match made in heaven.
They either like be thick as thieves or hate each other so much.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of like too close to the same person that they like, can't stand each other.
Yeah.
But, I'm big on Shannon. I'm hoping she sticks around for a while.
I actually like this tribe a lot. They're Uli, I think, is who they are.
Yeah, definitely the most interesting tribe.
Between obviously what we just talked about with Savannah and Rizzo, Sage, I saw somebody else bring this up once again. Apparently, I just don't have an original thought for myself tonight. So I'm just repeating everything I read on Reddit. Somebody else brought up that Sage is just like a 2.0 version of Carolyn, which is, obviously we are at a low for Carolyn around here in terms of personality and gameplay. But I think that's kind
let's
of like
watch who we're comparing to Carolyn right now.
Yeah, so I think that's maybe a fun little thing for this tribe. Nate being a major Marvel producer is pretty cool, and named pretty much. I love all the Captain America movies and Black Panther, so that's pretty sweet. I think I agree with his assessment. Obviously, we joke and shit on people every season that like try to hide their profession if they're a lawyer or a teacher or whatever. I think he is right to hide that he was a Marvel producer. That is sick.
I agree,
though.
Dylan. Yeah,
I think that Nate is more likely than not the first boot in this tribe. If we get down to it, I feel like that it's unfortunately working against him being an older man. An older man can age-wise forward the game. I think naturally that's probably just where he will fall. But I think Nate is interesting. I think everybody in this tribe is interesting. Everybody in this tribe I like this a lot. I think if you're talking about in terms of the most likable tribe, I think that this tribe for me was the most likable by far. And I think with that added element of Savannah and Rizzo, like we talked about, this will be the tribe I'm probably rooting for if you're needing to pick one tribe to root for. But yeah, I enjoyed everybody on here. Rooting for Shannon just purely based on regional ties. Yeah.
It's interesting that you think that Nate's the most in danger in this tribe, because I think by the end of the episode for me, he was like one of the people that was on like my short list of potential winners. Like, I thought he had a very good episode.
I did too. Obviously, I just told you I am blacking out half of the episode in my head right now. Yeah. I did too. I think it's just more so being. I think based on the new era seasons of being kind of an. It all depends on how you get out with this first tribe too, I guess, because obviously we've seen guys like Mike, for example, obviously kind of play pretty well towards the end to kind of get himself, separated as like the older male kind of trope that it has fallen in for Survivor characters in this new era of pretty early boots. Obviously, Cedric last season is one that I can think of that obviously drove us crazy for separate reasons. I think that Cedric's issues had absolutely nothing to do with his age or being male. I think Cedric was just a very, very bad player at Survivor. I don't know. I'd love for Nate to get out. I would love kind of to have the older guy kind of fill in that role. Kind of talking about just having, if you have a bunch of 30-year-olds there, I don't love that, or like a bunch of 20-year-olds, I don't love that either. So, him and Annie, who's the next oldest person? Matt.
Yeah, Matt as well. They're like the one. Those are the three. Those are the three like token old people on each tribe.
Yeah, Jeremiah 39. He looks very good for 39. Steven 35. I have all the ages up now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, I guess I take your word for that Nate had a great episode. Once again, I desperately need to go back and rewatch kind of now that my expectations have been set. But I did like Nate for the most part. I think just on the face of it, he would seem like somebody that would be an easy boot on this tribe, being the older guy, but it would be a nice change of pace if he wasn't.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the Yellow Tribe a little bit. I feel like they didn't have too crazy of an episode, but still time. We got a few storylines at least, including Jason having to. Well, I guess he didn't have to, but he said he was an alternate. Which was interesting, and then him having to kind of slow play. Like, I wasn't a professional gamer. I mean, I was a gamer and I got paid to game, but no, I wasn't a professional gamer.
Which I think is fair. I think it's like,
yeah.
Because there is definitely a significant difference between, winning a tournament or two and getting paid like a couple of grand and like playing a video game as your profession. I think those are two different things, right? Like, we had obviously like, Kenny Huang is going to be the obvious comparison point here, who was a pro Smash player on Gabon. I know Jason
but also
obviously
considered one of the greatest
yes
players. It's a little different.
Yeah, so definitely a little different. Like and also I don't really think being like a little Big Brother spoilers, but like we are probably about to get a Big Brother winner who is like a professional Twitch streamer. So maybe underrating it as a potential bonus or a potential boon to your ability to play these games. But
I mean, we just don't have a big enough sample size, right?
yeah,
we got Kenny, did pretty good. Mari, I mean, I would say she was playing video games as her job.
mm-hmm.
That counts. Didn't do great. And I think that's it until Jason.
I'm just glad to hear that.
We talked about people playing Pokemon. I don't know if like competitively, but I don't think professionally.
I'm glad to hear somebody survived that satanic ritual in Big Brother last night that I was witnessing the beginnings of.
Well, somebody
didn't. Yeah, but the gamer did. She was fine. She's probably gonna win the season, like Ben said.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but like, I don't know. Is playing, Apex Legends, for example, at a high level, or is like playing Smash Brothers at a high level, like, is that really gonna like convert to Survivor skills or Big Brother skills or anything like that, or is it just kind of a coincidence? I don't know. It seems like it's not really like a relevant thing. It's cool, and it's very neat that Project M got brought up. I remember back in freshman year of college playing Project M in my dorm room and I was terrible at Smash. Yeah, but going to a nerd school, like there was a lot of really good Smash players. So
almost certainly, like tournaments happening all the time at that school.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the first party I ever went to with Jenny, someone brought me to their room to play Smash Bros. So yeah, that's the vibe of that college.
Never even heard of Project M. I'm like looking it up right now.
Yeah, it's a mod. It's just a mod. Then Jason explained it. He said it's a mod that makes Brawl play more like Melee.
Yeah, I mean, it's at least interesting. He's my winner pick. So I was watching him with a keen eye tonight, and thought he had a good episode. All things.
Yeah, we didn't go through the winner picks. But Dylan and I picked the Sophies. So I picked the Sophie with no E, and Dylan picked the Sophie with an E.
Sophie Bellardi is who you picked.
And I picked Sophie
Sigretti. So I have Sophie S. You have Sophie B. And Brian has Jason T.
Not to be confused with Jason Derulo.
Which I am not entirely sure.
According to Smasher.
I'm not entirely sure. I remember a whole lot of Sophie S. in this episode. So.
Yeah, definitely one of the two or three people to not get a ton of focus, for sure. For her and I would say MC are probably the two that got the least focus from what I remember.
Although I think we've talked about it, I'm still all aboard season 50, us doing a draft, like a snake style draft for our team, which I was going to bring up doing for this one, but I think just for the sake of kind of kicking it off for 50, I think that'd be a very fun episode for us. So 50 obviously
50 since we know the players.
Yeah, exactly. So I think 50, that's like that'll be a great episode for us to do, but I think that'll be a fun way to do 50. But yeah, I am hopefully I am not falling back into third place again this year. If I do, I am going to demand a rule change that whoever was in last gets first pick for the new season.
Fair enough.
And if I come in first, then we keep it the way it is.
All right, so we'll root for Dylan to come in second. No, but I thought that some of the limited that we saw of Sophie S, it was all right. Like she led the challenge for them for the immunity challenge with the puzzle thing at the end, or not really puzzle, but ball track thingy. Like she was like the caller for that, and they seemed to run through that really fast. So I think that's positive. MC as well on that tribe was the person who rang the bell of the end for when they won that challenge. So This definitely feels like the tribe that wins all the challenges, never goes to tribal council, and gets kind of ignored in the pre-merge.
Yep.
So you want to talk about older males being the first boot. I guess Matt would be the one for this tribe that I would probably go after first. But Matt is he's a fellow current. Nope, never mind. I'm taking that back. That is a UT, not a VT. He is from Farmington, Utah, not Farmington, Vermont. So we're going to skip. We'll edit that out.
It's fine.
And to be clear, Matt was the other alternate, right? It was Matt and Jason.
MCU and Jason were the alternates.
Oh, I thought Matt was the other alternate. Okay, interesting. All right, let's carry on. On to Kaylee.
Yes. So, like you said, Dylan, or I guess that's it. That's all we have to say about the Yellow Tribe. They're probably
interesting.
Yeah,
they're once again, they kind of fall into that thing where maybe this is like the puzzle challenge beast tribe. We have Uli being the chill, normal tribe that is probably still going to do well. And then we have is it Keeley or Kale?
Kale.
I feel like Jeff pronounced it like 3 different ways throughout that.
I do too.
The blue
this
tribe
is obviously our disaster tribe.
Yeah, I'd been calling it Kelly in the preseason.
How can you not?
Yeah. Given the number of iconic Kellys that the show has had. But I don't know.
Yeah. Tough break for Nicole, but spitting in your tribe mate's eyes, horrible. What? After 3 days on the island, you're going to spit water into someone's eyes? Messed up. Kind of deserved just for that.
Yeah, good intentions. Listen, Survivor has cast people. Nicole seems great. Survivor has cast people before that obviously weren't in the best game shape. So we've seen it before. We saw Brandon a couple seasons ago. Wasn't the most prepared. But we've also seen people who started out maybe not in the best shape do really well in the seasons too. So it's not like casting needs to cast people that are physically. She had to pass a physical to get here. So yeah, tough cut for Nicole. I actually think that Nicole will go down as maybe arguably one of the worst players we've seen from beginning to end and for first boots. Looked it up though, Nicole, nice Italian from the New York, Pennsylvania area. So I can get all aboard for that. The obvious boot for me, for sure. Yeah. I think this tribe as a whole, Sophie B is by far, I think Sophie for me was the star of the episode. I think overall, I think where her head's at. I think that Sophie, for me, if we were picking winners without any sort of other knowledge, I would pick Sophie. I am actually really looking forward to seeing Sophie continue to play moving forward. I am very, very, very hopeful she goes far just because I think that she is the best game personality on this tribe for Survivor, which is obviously what we want. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway. Jake's obviously, I feel like we're going to go into a whole discussion about Jake now anyway, so I'll save my Jake thoughts. But I'm very high on Sophie B. I think that's a great pick for you. And I like find myself rooting for her the most, taking out the 2 season 50 players. So, Sophie B train. I'm officially all aboard.
Yeah, I mean, getting into some of my mindset of why I picked her, like, first of all, she gave me D vibes for obvious reasons. But then, I'm a big D fan. I think D is, if not the best, then the second best player of a new era.
Confused with Big D from
yes. Yeah.
Person.
I've come around on Big D, all right? But
finally see it my way.
Yeah, you were the Renaissance man when it came to Big D. But with Sophie, I basically looked at this tribe and I was like, okay, so this is a disaster tribe, obviously. And just like sight unseen, I looked at the tribe divisions and I was like, okay, obviously they're going to lose every challenge. Who on this tribe do I think is like going to be the best socially insulated and like the least likely to get voted out? And so I think Sophie just like was very obviously that person for me. So like we were talking about earlier, when it comes down to like, we have a disaster tribe, and then the people who survive it end up as a swing position in the merge, and they end up going deep. That was kind of the vibe I was hoping to have with Sophie, where like, maybe she gets into a duo with somebody, and they, ride it out through this disaster tribe into the merge, and then they end up being the swing votes at the merge. And at the very least, she goes final 8, final 7. That was my thoughts. I think I'm very happy with the pick. And I think that, the vision is for sure playing out the way I expected, hopefully.
Right.
She just comes across as a very natural, the way she's playing is very natural. I don't think that she's like game botting or anything like that. You could plug Sophie into like in the late 20s, 30s range, and I can see her like playing that style of game. There's just something about Sophie I really like a lot. I like what she's done so far in this episode. There's not a whole lot where I can be like, oh my God, she's going to be like an all-time player. Like nothing like that. I just really like the position she's in. I agree. I think especially now we've seen it play out. I guess it will really depend on what they go with Annie's side of being her Sophie and Jeremiah to gang up on Alex and Jake, kind of seeing where that goes. I feel like she would be the swing in both of those situations if necessary, which is obviously great for her. So yeah, I'm very, very high on Sophie. I don't necessarily get D vibes from her. I actually get a lot of D vibes from Savannah. Maybe they kind of do look like, I guess, so maybe that clouds it a little bit, but I also think Savannah I think she comes across as very like cutthroat, and she's here to win this game, which D very much was from the beginning too. Which is what I want, especially it was what I want out of a winner. So if she does play like D, and if Savannah does manage to pull off a win, I think that like is the new archetype of people saying they want to play like Boston Rob. They want to play like Parvati is a new archetype for people coming into these new era seasons playing as D. I think that's great because obviously we want these legacy players now. Obviously, we have no signs that she's saying D is her all-time favorite player and playing like that. I'm just saying that's the style and comparison.
I think Sophie did, which is another one of the reasons why I felt that vibe coming in. Which is, I agree with you 100%. Coming into the episode in the preseason, Sophie was the one giving me D vibes, but coming out of the episode, I agree that Savannah was the one who was giving me the D vibes. And like, especially with the way that the tribes are set up, where you had like the Kelly is like the Lulu, and you have the yellow tribe is like the Bello, who are kind of ignored, and like we go to them like once an episode to like check in, and they have like a couple small storylines going on, but otherwise they're not really a part of the narrative. And then you have Reba is still the red tribe, and you have this like kind of 4-person group headed by this like really like strong cutthroat woman who's like going to like lead them into battle down the stretch. Like that's kind of, it feels like we're kind of getting a rerun of that like 45 story, where it like Savannah's trying to figure out what her 4 is. She has like kind of Shannon with her as her like Julie analog as her sidekick, and she's trying to like piece together who her other 2 are going to be. It was, I think, originally going to be Jawan, and then I think like towards the end of the episode, it felt like the 4 was going to end up falling into being Savannah, Shannon, Nate, and Rizzo. That feels like it's going to be what the 4 is coming out of this tribe for me.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, that's all I got this week. What about you guys?
No, I mean, I think just to touch on Jake, whether you guys want to have the talk or not, I think Jake is an absurd person for like what things he was laying out there, and it seems very much kind of like, that whole trauma dump thing of like, I need to put it all on the line now, 1, so I don't get voted out, and 2, kind of to create this like narrative for me, like for back home. And obviously it's great, his dad's like the joke was like, hey, guy in the back, what's your name? He's like, I'm Jake, my dad is going blind. Like that was pretty much the way it happened. I think it's a really nice story. I think that's great. I think he's absolutely fucking crazy to be on the island when his kid's gonna be born. I think that
was crazy.
It almost makes me root against him, honestly. Like, it makes me want him to be voted out. Because I think, can he go home if he gets voted out pre-merge now? Like, isn't that the thing they all get sent home?
They go on a trip usually.
So
there have been exceptions. Those exceptions usually don't go well for the player. Vitas famously in Cambodia was the first boot, and then dipped out from the pre-jury trip, and that's a returning player season, so you get a little more leeway. And then it ended up being spoiled that he was the first boot because of that. And the show was very upset, and then did not invite him to the reunion.
That makes
ruined like the chance of ever coming back. That was bad.
I'm like Vita Survivor.
Aris's brother.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I didn't know that, but that's funny. I actually remember liking Vitas for the most part.
He's fine on the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was fine on Blood Versus Water. On Cambodia, not a great one.
Yeah.
Didn't have a good showing on that one, admittedly. Talk about shocking. That was shocking. I did not see him being the first boot.
Yeah.
Jake, I don't know. I thought that whole thing was very weird, and I think that's kind of, and it, once again, not to just become a mouthpiece for Reddit and X, the everything app and all that. It seems like the masses too are like very much over this whole, like, everybody shares their life story first bat. And I imagine a lot of encouragement is coming from production, people on the island. It's too formulaic for it not to be like that. But like, I think that's crazy. I think that dude, I understand getting your one chance to play Survivor. I get it, but I think that, I don't know. I think being on the island instead of birthing your kid is absolutely wild, but I am not a person to judge, so it is what it is.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
To me, with Jake, it felt like he kind of like got a lay of the land of the cast and was like, I stick out. I need to like soften myself somehow.
Right.
Like, I think that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially on his tribe in particular, and like I need to like try to endear myself to people, become like a physical asset, but also like show that like I'm more than just like this burly jacked guy with like the steroid gut, and I think that's kind of like the way that he, I think, has done that. But then also you have like him doing the shoe bandit thing, which is
dumb.
Yeah, dumb, very dumb. Like it's like it's like somebody like pretending to be, I mean, like, we've seen shoe banditing before, but usually it is a lot more malicious. And obviously Russell is a big example, like burning the socks. And then you had like Holly Hoffman in Nicaragua stealing Dan Lembo's $1,000 like snakeskin shoes or whatever they were, alligator shoes.
Sandra burning his hat.
Yeah, Sandra burning Russell's hat, but like
Tia dumping the rice.
But I mean, just like stealing shoes and like moving them like 10 feet away and like putting them under like a stick. Like, what is the purpose of this other than just like entertaining yourself and trying to like make like a thing for the episode?
Yeah, I don't think it's like he wants it to be found, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not like hiding it.
You're just like making your tribe mates think that there was like a leprechaun or something. Like, what is the vibes here? Like, what purpose does it serve?
To come to his defense, even though I was just crapping on him, I think maybe in context of TV, maybe it's a little ridiculous. But I've hung out with my friends and like took my friend's phone and like like hit it in the cat box, stuff like that. Right. Just for he-he's. I don't know. The one thing I won't tolerate with this game is like just completely disingenuous like gameplay and people. It's kind of what drives me. I can't say Coach is my favorite player though, and talk about disingenuous people.
You gotta be good at it. You gotta be.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you're doing it,
there's also a line where like once you've passed the line, like it kind of loops back around and it becomes like funny.
Yeah, and obviously Coach falls into that category. I don't know. It's tough, especially you're Jake. I think that's a great point too, Ben. I think that he's on a tribe of people that maybe he doesn't always closely relate with and associate with. He is a correctional officer and Alberta, Canada. So like, I don't know what the demographics up there are like. But yeah, maybe he's just doing what he can to fit in. But I think it just came across as very just like gross to me. I think once he mentioned that his kid was being born, whether that's true or not, if he had pulled the fair play and been like, that's a complete lie, I would have respected him way more for it. But I don't. I think that was just a ridiculous case. I don't know. I don't find myself rooting for Jake, and I don't think that he's necessarily like a bad person, and that's why I'm not rooting for him. I just don't think that he's very likable.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the show is like trying to make him rootable or not, because I agree. I don't find him rootable, and I kind of just find him a little bit perplexing at the very least. But like, it feels like it feels like there's like almost like a, you know, with the shoe bandit thing and everything, they're like trying to make him like a rootable kind of, you know, goofy character. I don't know. I will see where it goes, I guess. Because like I feel like we also kind of got that storyline from like David last season, but then David kind of devolved into like a more complex character that was like, you know, you either got annoyed with him or like was like, you know, David's right, you know, yada yada. Like he's the only one like fighting back against Joe, or like, you know, Joe is being disingenuous with his gameplay or whatever. I don't know. I think there's a lot to look for with Jake, and I think they are probably trying to recreate a little bit of what they got with David last season.
Yeah, the stuff with David was funny when he was doing like the SpongeBob meme or the Squidward meme and all that, and then like the whole thing at the end with David after they did the final tribal, and he was like, "Oh, I was just joking the whole time." Like, I thought that was stupid, dumb, fucking stupid. Don't do that, Jake.
It gives me the vibes, but I mean, like,
yeah.
No, I big time
either on their way out. Like, who's that guy's name? Can't even remember these days.
Who was it?
Wait, which one?
The guy that did De Niro.
Danny.
Danny, yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah, I mean, at least Danny was good at the game.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, he was like one of the only people on that season that was good at the game outside of the Three Amigos. So
the Three Amigos,
wherever they were, I can't remember is it Tika 3? Yeah.
Yep.
Three Amigos.
Yeah, Three Amigos is Caramo, and like I think they had another name for themselves there besides just like the Tika 3, but yeah.
So I guess we'll see what happens for the rest of the season. I am excited to cover it. I'm hoping that it'll be good. Very excited for season 50. Maybe it's just the Australian Survivor season being so good that it has me on a high. I don't know.
Go ahead, Ben.
I just think for me, this episode felt like a lot of place setting. It didn't like actively piss me off. So I'm like willing to kind of see where it goes.
Yeah. And you know what? Paramount got a new boss, David Ellison. Maybe they'll have to actually try hard at their jobs to impress the new boss.
I am, like I mentioned, I probably wouldn't continue watching this season if I did not have this podcast, nor did I have the knowledge of 50. So, like, if this cast was on the face of it to start, I probably would have tapped out. I'm very excited to record with you guys. I just like sitting down each week to talk with you guys about this. I am looking forward to that. I agree. I'm still hopeful. You know, we'll get some. We've had a few seasons start pretty kind of lame and have ramped up pretty quickly. Like it was Q46, right? I think I went into 46 with like negative expectations after the first two episodes. Then obviously that season got really good really quick. So who knows? I think you're right, Ben. I think there is a lot of place setting, but like it's just a matter of, are they place setting the service shit? Or are they place setting the service like primary? But I think that's the cool thing.
I think probably a little bit in the middle. I would say. I think they're place setting to service maybe like a nice like a nice plate of like pasta or something like that. You know, nice simple plate of pasta.
So reminds me of that old challenge where you'd have to like give people rewards.
Yeah, exactly. It's another All-Stars reference.
Yeah.
I think what will help this season out a lot too is if this is a great season for Savannah and Rizzo going into 50, I think that'll only help this season, where if maybe the outside gameplay of them isn't the greatest, but they are great in this season. Once again, I'm actually really, like I said, I'm super high on Sophie B. I think that she's going to be a really great player. Those are really the three that have stood out to me so far. I guess like I'm going to go back and rewatch Nate because I'm excited to think that Nate potentially is sitting a little bit better than I think too. So no, I am too. I'm looking forward to it. But I am very much like I have fallen trapped to can we just get to 50 already? So I do. I hope they can realize it. It was a long 2 hours. I thought it was a long 2 hours. Before previous seasons, I feel like we were saying that was a quick 2 hours. I think this was a long 2 hours. So looking forward to getting back to 90 minutes. I think they're still doing that, right? That's still the plan.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm excited. And obviously we have the Rizzo and Savannah watch on, which is good. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Anything you want to plug before you get out of here, Dylan?
No, I'm tired of false plugging, to be honest with you. I think we had a whole summer set of us recording and doing all that stuff. I still had my background set up from when we talked about Star Wars Battlefront 2. I think that was back in like June. That's another update. I have glasses now, and I'm blind as a bat, and I don't have the lenses on my glasses yet that block out like the glare. So if I was sitting here with the ring light on the entire time, my glasses would have just been illuminated. So I didn't wear them. But so I'm a glasses guy now too. So what's it like having good vision, Brian? You scumbag. That's what I'm plugging. Getting your eyes checked.
It's nice. Because I don't
know. My doctor said that my eyes have probably been going for a while, and I just assumed that things were blurry, just because things are getting brighter, shit like that, like really dumb reasons. So I'm very glad I got glasses because I have a nice OLED TV, and things got way more OLED-y when I put those glasses.
I see what you mean, but I was like, did you think the sun was getting brighter?
No, I guess like
technology.
I think I had grown so accustomed to overcompensating with my eyes that once I put the glasses on and I just realized, I know I'm just literally talking about what it's like to wear glasses.
That's what the podcast is for.
I think it was like very eye opening to being like, holy shit, I was blind. Things are way clearer than I thought they should be. So I think that's great.
Especially the same thing I've heard of everyone who's gotten glasses and being, I didn't know.
Well, we had the same kind of story with Steven with the hearing aids in this episode where he's like, yeah, I just thought that everyone's hearing was that bad. And then I got the hearing aids and I was like, oh no, actually I'm just, I just couldn't hear.
So I think that's my next.
Really inspired me. I need to go get mine checked because mine's for so long.
My next stop is the ENT because I think that I know my hearing is bad. So maybe if my eyes can get better, that'd be good. We can get a Groupon to go to the ENT. No, very excited. Once I get my glare-free glasses, I will proudly wear them on the stream. But until then, I'm going to be squinting a lot. Like I can't even read like underneath our names, our Twitter tags. I can't even see them. So
let me see if I take mine off. Yeah, I can't. I couldn't read it without my glasses either. So
that's the point I'm at. But no, I'm very excited. The fall, especially fall football is back. Talking about football, I think that's great. I think that's kind of the added bonuses of fall seasons too. Is just like the atmosphere. So that's an added plus. And a lot of other TV shows are coming back. And this is going to bring us right into the trades. We have a really fun slate. This will bring us into the traders, and then the traders will bring us into season 50. So that'll be we have a fun 6 months lined up,
and maybe a winter season of Big Brother that's been rumored out there. It's gonna be good. Gonna get on TikTok for the Blindsiders like I've been doing with the Have Not Room. Ben and I, we got the last 2 episodes of the Have Not Room stream tomorrow, and then a finale one on Monday, and that's it. Big Brother's over.
Yeah, I mean, Big Brother is going as we're talking right now, and then we also have the Amazing Race Big Brother season is also starting tonight. A lot of
bring back our Amazing Race podcast.
Yeah, that's how a little bit of lore here. That's how me and Brian really started. I would Brian had his own Star podcast back in the day that I would guest on now and then throughout the 20s. I think we talked about like Philippines through
24 through 27 maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think we talked about San Wendell, I think, as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, because I made my Jeremy
24 through 29.
Yeah, somewhere in that 24 to 29. Yeah, so I would guest on Brian's podcast back in the day on that, and then we did a spin. Brian did a spin off from that network where him and me talked about The Amazing Race for like 4 seasons, and arguably,
I'm super down to do it if you are. We'll just put it on the Have Not Room feed.
Yeah, we'll see how the season is. It's European, vacation style. I don't know, the European adventure, I think, is the tagline, because they're only staying in North America and Europe, which is, I think, sucks, but we'll see how it goes.
Rip Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited for that. I remember getting spoiled on it all when it was happening, but I do not have any idea what those spoilers were now.
No, I mean, I don't think I ever saw spoilers for it, which is lucky. Because I know there are spoilers out there. I mean, Amazing Race in general is an extremely spoiled show because of the it happens out in the world, and when there's a returning player season, or when there's players on from other shows that are on there that are big names, it's usually when I heard this concept, I was like, oh yeah, 100% getting spoiled fully front to back. So
Big Brother fans don't want to wait for anything. We have the live feeds, very spoiled from that. But yeah, it'll be fun. I think this season will be good. I mean, Big Brother players are pretty fucking good at The Amazing Race, so having a whole season will be pretty good.
Yeah.
Although a little surprising they didn't bring back the winners.
I mean, Jess and Cody have 12 children, and Derek and Claire just broke up, to be fair. So
yeah, you're right. Well, Derek and Claire weren't broken up on the season.
That's true. When this filmed, they were not broken up. Yeah.
So they could have won twice.
Maybe that would have been the difference maker. You never know.
Yeah. Another $1 million, really rejuvenates the relationship.
Listen, we did a really good job not going on any side tangents until the end of the episode this week. So I do think we deserve a round of applause for that. So that was good on us.
Did we though?
Until the end, we're fine. Yeah,
not as bad as it usually is.
No.
I said Jerry and Ethan could have gone further in All Stars, and I stopped there.
Yeah.
I could have talked about that for a while.
I'm too sour grapes to pursue that, but I will next week maybe.
Yes. But yeah, please subscribe to this channel and this podcast. Please subscribe to Better Radio, where you get everything. Just put a new video out about how video games and playing video games, keeping up with them, is getting very expensive, and developers are not being sympathetic to the players, being like, hey, I can't really run your new game because my PC isn't the newest PC in the world, and that seems not great. So if you're interested in that, go check out we can get everything. We have Those Fake Nerds and our sports channel where you get sports. And sorry we missed last week for the Have Not Room, but we'll be back tomorrow. So
Battlefield 6, looking forward to that. I'll send the episode on that. Very much looking forward to that.
Speaking of a game that I couldn't play because of the stupid kernel thing on my PC, so I had to play it on consoles only. Developers just don't think through all that stuff, I feel like, but it doesn't matter.
I could do a whole episode. I could do a whole episode on Switch 2 being complete dog shit. We could do that. Do that.
A good show. New episode. I'd love to. But
right,
we'll see you all on the next one. Thanks for listening.